Am I the asshole for asking my emotionally fragile daughter, 16 female, to take a paternity test to help me in court? My wife and I are finally going through a divorce after living separated for almost 4 years. We didn't do this sooner because we both separated our finances and co-parented amicably and didn't want to waste the money. We originally separated after I confronted her on multiple affairs. But I wasn't mad, just happy to be done with it. Our daughter was not fazed too much by the transition at first because we tried to make it as easy as possible on her. However, just 2 months after I moved out, my wife moved a boyfriend into our house and made daughter very uncomfortable, so she decided to live with me the majority of the time instead. Wife has since been very irresponsible about bringing men around daughter. When the pandemic hit, my business boomed while my wife lost her job and had to start working at a grocery store instead. Wife decided to finally file for divorce and take me for what I was worth, as I was now making way more than her. I'm not going to lie. Things went from mediation to a hostile divorce very quickly when she requested more custody and money than I thought she was entitled to. Ultimately, wife was unwilling to admit to her affairs and I threatened to get a paternity test for our daughter to prove her infidelity. I had suspicions before about the paternity of my daughter, but never acted on them because I didn't want to lose her. Well, this was a big mistake because this caused my wife to reveal to daughter that she was an affair baby. Moreover, she told our daughter that if I found out that she was an affair baby, then I would do unspeakable things to her. Wife told daughter all this to try to get her out of my home and drive a wedge in a relationship. This has caused my daughter to be distant to me and paranoid and emotionally a wreck for months, and I didn't know why. After talking to my lawyer and getting assurance my parental rights would not be affected by a paternity test, I decided to ask my daughter to take it. I sat her down and explained it was just to prove her mom's infidelity and that she was still my daughter. Unfortunately, before I could tell her much of anything, she had a full-on panic attack and locked herself in her room. Eventually her favorite aunt, my sister, came to pick her up, and now she is living with her family. My aunt is the one who informed me of the things my wife said. Daughter and I have been going to counseling and daughter plans to come to live with me again. Court also ordered wife not to contact daughter and my lawyer thinks we will do well. But my sister thinks I am an asshole for asking my daughter for the test. But the time to prove wife's infidelity was running out and I thought my relationship with daughter was stronger than just genetics. Am I the asshole for asking my emotionally fragile daughter for a paternity test? Daughter and I never took test, but I was able to prove infidelity in other ways. Me reading the title, "Yes, you obviously are." Me reading the whole post, "Holy heck, no, you are absolutely not the asshole." Lesson learned? Read things properly, people. NTA. It was in your daughter's best interest for you to get custody and not pay more than necessary in alimony. It's 100% understandable that she freaked out and didn't see it that way. X is obviously the asshole for forcing you into that position in the first place. Not the asshole. The monster is your wife. She poisoned your daughter's mind and now you are both paying the price. Your poor daughter. Your ex more than you though. You were able to prove the infidelity in other ways and the paternity test should have been a last resort option. You could have also gone after her for engaging in parental alienation, which is a great way to get a judge pissed at you. Your ex would have lost a lot of credibility when that came out. Not the asshole, but instead of framing it as a paternity test, you should have simply gotten her a full genetic screening through a site like 23andMe. They give you extensive reports about potential health conditions, so it would have been much easier to frame it in a context of something that you're doing for the sake of health rather than something that you're doing to prove that her mom was sleeping around. Everyone sucks here for weaponizing your daughter in the divorce, with each of you maneuvering for a favorable financial settlement. You're risking your daughter's mental health over money. Geez. Not the asshole. Your daughter needs therapy, and a paternity test is a routine part of divorce proceedings. Everyone sucks here. You and your wife are both Oz for making your daughter a pawn in your divorce. Except your daughter, of course. Your ex-wife is the worst, for weaponizing the divorce and emotionally traumatizing her. You get one because you knew all this, and tried to use your daughter against her mother while your daughter was in a bad spot already. Lucky for her that she has your sister and now a therapist, she's gonna need them. Everyone sucks here except the daughter. You're both trying to use her against each other and she is very obviously and understandably suffering because of it. It seems neither of you stopped to think of her, just money. For what it's worth, the wife sucks the most. Edit. I can tell you care about your daughter either way, and while you didn't know why she was in a bad place emotionally, you saw that she was. Asking your daughter to take a paternity test whilst going through a divorce would probably give her doubts and anxiety even without her mother's previous threat. I would imagine she would be afraid that if she wasn't yours that you might not love or want her anymore. Everyone sucks here. FFS. Don't put your adult problems on your child. Unless you know for a fact that you didn't sleep with your wife at all during like the whole damn month of conception, there's no way to know she's an affair baby. Both could be guessing about that. What happens if you force her just to find out she's yours? Obviously your wife sucks for multiple reasons, but in terms of paternity test? That's on you. OMFG. The only thing more outrageous than this story is the people saying you're not the asshole. What? In the midst of a bitter divorce you threaten to get a paternity test for your 16-year-old daughter to strengthen your hand. And when your daughter finds out about you actually ask her, as it will help you with the divorce. Everyone sucks, but I am going to say you are the asshole because you brought up paternity into a routine divorce. You have to love your daughter more than you hate your ex. Putting her in the middle and making her question her biological parents in a divorce is so fucking abusive to the max. This is so vile. I can't even understand it. You are the asshole. I can't even believe how many people are saying not the asshole here. Even when you see, hear and experience that your daughter's mental health is severely compromised, that is still not your priority. How do you expect a frightened 16-year-old who is stuck in the middle of this toxicity to feel when you want her to take a test to prove that she's not your biological daughter? Is her having a panic attack not enough to signal her distress? Talk about taking a step in someone else's shoes. Seems like you don't even know what shoes are. Adult, shish. You suck big time, because you're intelligent enough to prove infinitely in other ways, and obviously did. You already knew beforehand that she was suspiciously acting distant, then blew it all up by going rogue and asking her for a DNA test. That would have crushed me as a 16-year-old. Your ex is the worst of all, but you already know why. Keep going to counseling. Do as much one-to-one time with daughter as she will allow. Take her to things she loves to do. Whatever you do, just fix that bond before anything else. Sorry, Esh. You put your divorce over your child. As soon as your ex-wife started her psycho work, all divorce wars should have been put on hold so you could make sure your daughter doesn't end up scarred for the rest of her life. Children are not weapons in a divorce. If the courts mandate a paternity test, that's one thing, but trying to use your daughter's DNA to get at your wife, and your wife manipulating your poor daughter to get at you are both despicable behavior, though your soon-to-be ex-wife definitely more so. Info. Why did you want to prove your wife's infidelity? You are the asshole. A 16-year-old infidelity wouldn't make doodly difference in a divorce settlement. Not in my state, anyway. You would have been better off fighting a paternity test and assuring your daughter that she's your daughter no matter what. Esh. Your wife more than you, but you had an opportunity not to make it worse, which you blew when you sat your daughter down and asked her to take the test. Esh. Your wife for dropping the bomb on your daughter like that, and you for failing to take your daughter's trauma into account while attempting to use, her as a pawn in court proceedings. Neither of you handled this with much tact, although it certainly seems you had purer intentions than your wife. Your daughter is traumatized, and from the sound of it you won't be in dire straits if your wife gets more money than you think she is entitled to. Let the paternity question go. I'm not well versed in divorce law, but I don't know how much sway it would hold with a judge anyway if you use 16-year-old proof of infidelity when you only split 4 years ago. Not the asshole. It seems like it would be in your daughter's best interest as well. Hopefully having a concrete answer and seeing that it doesn't change things for you will help her feel more secure. You are the asshole. This was a tough one, but you said you were able to prove infidelity without a paternity test, so asking your emotionally fragile daughter to take one seems a bit excessive. While I don't think you had all intentions, you didn't think the consequences through very well, emo. RIGJT. Now is the time. I hope you are focusing on your daughter and letting her know you love her and will always love her regardless of legal paternity. She needs it right now. Esh. Who the hell involves their minor children in finding out if their spouse is cheating? If it made no difference if she biologically yours, then it really should have made no difference. You don't involve children in adults' problems. Parents who use their children to try to gain an advantage in divorce cases are the lowest form of life. I hope you burn in hell for 2 eternities, pal. You are the asshole. This is 100% something you should not be posting about on a dumb website like Reddit. What did the infidelity matter anyway? I am not aware of a state that considers that in parenting time or asset division. Maybe you're in a different country? Regardless, leave her out of it. You're an asshole. Your ex is an asshole, but bringing your daughter into it is low and clearly affecting her mental health. Now let me first say, your ex is a huge horrid A. However, I will say, you're still an A because you dragged your daughter into your messy divorce. Knowing if you were proven not to be her bio dad, your child would be an emotional wreck. You are the asshole. Even not knowing what your ex had told your daughter, I find it hard to believe you're so dense that you couldn't anticipate the impact of what you're asking on a vulnerable 16-year-old. And this controversial, but ethically correct, you are the asshole for trying to reduce the settlement your wife will get because you feel hurt by her behavior. I abhor cheaters as much as the next woman, but that doesn't matter. You both contributed to the marriage, so you should both profit equally from it. Everyone sucks here if we're including your ex in this debate. If it's just between you and your daughter, then absolutely YTA, but I'm assuming you would rather include the ex since she's the reason you asked in the first place. Totally inappropriate for you to ask that of your daughter knowing the state she's in. You really have no evidence of her affairs? No one else can say they're true. You can't get the affair partners to write a statement? It has to be your traumatized daughter's DNA? Not the asshole your ex is, though, for moving a man in 2 months after you left, and also for telling your daughter she is an affair baby. Good thing there is a court order for her not to be speaking to your daughter. Everyone sucks here except your daughter. You really thought it was okay to ask your stressed out kid to help you prove she wasn't your kid? NTA, sooner or later she will have to make this to finish this relation. Really had to read the entire post here to get it. Not the asshole. Your ex-wife is a nightmare and you are well shut of her, but your relationship with your daughter and your approach to her should be an example to others. Well, both of you have proven to your daughter you care more about money than her emotional well-being. Does that answer your question? You both sound ill-equipped to be raising a child. You both are perfectly willing to use your daughter as a weapon in a divorce. How in hell did you think your daughter would react if asked to take a paternity test to prove you're not her biological father? I sincerely hope this poor child has a thinking, compassionate adult in her life because neither of her parents qualify. Info. Were you 100% sure she is not your biological daughter when you threatened to get a paternity test? Not the asshole as a daughter whose father adopted her and stayed in my life after my parents got divorced. I can assure you that you are not the asshole. Not the asshole. I think it may have been a bit of a tactless question, but I can only imagine how high all emotions are in this situation. I don't think you should be blamed for asking that question, considering it was ultimately to protect everyone, and that your judgment could easily have been clouded by how much the situation had escalated because of soon-to-be ex-wife. You are the asshole. So hard. Not the asshole you didn't know what her mother was saying to her at the time. She could have testified what her mother said instead of taking a test if she had told you. Either way, there is no way you would have known what was going on if you weren't present for the conversations. Not the asshole. Everyone sucks here except for your daughter. Your ex is obviously an asshole for multiple reasons. But you are knowingly hurting your daughter in order to use her as a pawn in your hostile divorce with her mother. Rule number 1 of divorce. Don't use the kids to fight your ex. Also, don't make your kid feel like they're any less your much-loved child. You're literally asking for a test to prove she's not your child. That poor girl. I feel so sorry for her stuck in the middle of your nasty divorce. Your ex is more of an awe, but you still deserve it too. I'm going to go with not the asshole. It's really shitty she got dragged into this the way she did though. I don't blame her for breaking down. Not the asshole. You didn't know that your ex had said such horrible things to your daughter. She probably was afraid that because you had found out and were trying to get proof, her mother might be right. This is emotional terrorism on her mom's part. Not the asshole. Moreover, she told our daughter that if I found out that she was an affair baby then I would do unspeakable things to her. Wife told daughter all this to try to get her out of my home and drive a wedge in a relationship. Make sure your lawyer knows about this. It's parental alienation. Not the asshole, but her mom is way to torture your own child. And moms tend to win in court too. Why are some people saying it's close to Esh? As a parent, you need to think about yourself too. Your ex-wife was trying to take more money she wasn't entitled to. It's understandable that your daughter would have a panic attack over this. But if the court sides with her mom and she's entitled to more amounts of money, the victim loses a court case to her cheating partner. Doesn't sound right, does it? If that does happen, it wouldn't be the judge's problem, it would be yours. The victim of infidelity is going to end up with the disadvantage. You did what you have to do, don't let anyone tell you are selfish or the asshole here. Definitely not the asshole. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. What your ex did is horrible. Just make sure to reassure your daughter again and again about your love for her.